Hello and welcome to another video. So again, we're back with some new Omen cards to experiment with in this BloodCraft deck. This is an exact BloodCraft deck I had in mind, mainly because I'm missing 2 Lust. I did only get the 1 animated one, and I've crafted a few other cards. I didn't want to have to craft 3 Lust, just because I'm not sure exactly how powerful it's going to be overall, so I am just running the 1 that I got. We're also running 3 Disciple of Lust. I believe that's the other card that I had actually put in this deck that I didn't originally have in this deck. As Wings, the other Wings of Lust, whatever it is, that card is in maintenance currently, and I'm not sure when it will be out. So was Artifact Spark as of making this video. This is being made on pretty much day 1 at this point, so it's not surprising that I'm not going to be able to use that card yet. But if it does come out after this deck goes live, which I doubt it's going to be like day 2, so I highly doubt that this will be out then. But if you guys want to see that, I'm definitely going to be covering it once that is out of maintenance, as I've got the whole deck idea set up for that. So either way, this deck is a Darkfist Bat deck, obviously. It got a fair bit of support with most of the Lust cards being fairly decent for that. Both Disciple and Servant do a wonderful job at doing self-damage, while Servant also has a little bit of a bonus with being able to heal you. It does also heal the opponent, but I mean, for a 4-2 stat line, that's pretty respectable. You're pretty much getting a 2-2 out of this if you hit face, so you're not really losing too much, as your opponent's still taking 2 damage in the overall, especially for a 2-drop. Bloodthirsty Hamster, another card that was added, absolutely awesome. We have a little animated one here, like, that's pretty sweet. Similar to the Hedgehog premise, it basically just gains stats every time you deal self-damage while it's out. Florist, another card I actually liked using. The Invocation's a lot of fun if you can get it to go off, although I think I'd want a lot more of these 0-drops in my starting hand. If you potentially get 4 0-drops, or even the, I don't know, even a 1-drop, I guess, will this work whenever this Flora attacks? No, so you can't really even use that. So you'd have to get 4 0-drops in your hand turn 1 in rotation to pull off the 5-3 on turn 1, which would be nuts if I could get it to go off, but the odds of that seem to be pretty small. When I do an unlimited version of this deck, definitely going to try and get it with Flower Bed, try and get it all to go off, and see if we can pull that off pretty easily. So hopefully you guys will look forward to that. Otherwise, we're going to get right into this video and check this deck out. So this video may be a rather short one, as these blood decks tend to be fairly fast and there isn't much to show outside of just playing it. I didn't actually get to use Lust, I believe, because I'm only running 1 of it, although it isn't exactly a key card to this deck. Darkfist Bat is more key, and even that doesn't need to be seen, honestly, sometimes, to really get this deck to work. As just the self-damage and opponent damage alone, plus some decent bodies, can really stop your opponent in their tracks, especially other BloodCraft players where they're also doing self-damage to themselves, which makes your game much easier. So holding on to the Gift of Bloodkin, as I feel like that's the best way to take advantage of it, is usually pretty decent, especially when you get 2 of them. So you'll see I pass quite a few turns here, because we're going to actually try and build up for a decent Florist turn where we can actually pull one from our deck. Of course, that does mean I need to play something, because I can't afford not to, but since I did get Blood Pact, I've got the option to do this on turn 4 anyway. So they get their own Servant of Lust, really not an issue for us at all at this point. Razor Claw is a little bit sad, but again, not really a problem. So we get a pretty nice chance to play all these out. So using double Gift of Bloodkin gives us 2 self-damage. Snarling Chains is going to also give us 1, and of course this Blood Pact is going to give us 1, which means we are going to get the Invocation out, and it's going to be pretty sweet. So for whatever reason, this is actually locked up by the looks of it. That's really weird. I don't know if that's a glitch or not, but alright, we're going to cut the video here and we'll be back once this is fixed. So after reloading the replay, we've got stuck at the exact same point, which is quite disappointing. It appears that it's possible that, I don't think it's Snarling Chains screwing up this video, it's probably the invocation effects. By the looks of it, the invocations might actually lock up the replays, which honestly is a little disappointing if that is the case. I don't know whether this might be a one-off situation. I'm definitely going to have to send this video to Games or something to make sure I can report it or something to find out what's going on. I'll hit up a contact and see how that goes. But otherwise, we're actually going to check out the other match I've got, as I don't believe I used the invocation. If I did, I apologize, but I wanted to show this deck off, and if I can't even show off the invocation, I'm a little disappointed for you guys. So since the first match wasn't able to complete, which was a little disappointing, we have got a second match. So we're actually going up against Shadow for this one, which is fairly different. I haven't seen too many Shadows on ladder yet, and it's a lot of fun when we get to fight them, so why not? We get a pretty okay starting hand. Double 1-drops isn't always too bad.
I'm leaving.
But that was the one that ended in the immediate concede, wasn't it? I knew that there would be something that would go wrong here. That's right. Oh dear. So because those couple of games weren't obviously the best, one, the invocation screwed up. The second one, I've actually completely blanked that was just an instant concede game, as I actually thought that was one of the other ones I played in the past, but obviously not. This game though, hopefully will be alright. It does end up in a loss, we'll give that kind of heads up right at the beginning, but I want to give you guys something, and if I can't show off because of the other stuff, then hopefully this one will work. We'll also hopefully be able to test whether that invocation is a problem, and if it is, it's definitely going to be one of the few things I report very quickly, so we can get hopefully that fixed, because that will make it very, very difficult to get decent footage for new effects, especially these spell decks that I want to test later on. Will be a nightmare. So starting off early with the, of course, hamster, it always does a nice job.
Burning flames will freeze.
White Frost Dragon, not really a problem for me yet. Especially when I can just play Vera. Of course, this wasn't entirely on purpose. Vera was actually a mistaken play. I was going to go for Evil Eye Demon to protect my hamster and buff it, but Vera ended up being the accidental play anyway. So, Bloodthirsty Hamster, this time into the Evil Eye Demon. I mean, it's definitely not as good as last turn would have been, but it'll be fine. I'll settle for that turn. So they go for the gold drop, which isn't a big surprise. And really at this point, all I can do is feed off this Vera as best I can, especially since we did end up drawing a Dark Feast Bat, which means we actually have a shot. I did end up giving up on the Vera that turn though, which was probably the wrong move, honestly. I probably should have just went for it. Went for the Vera play, tried to use it as fodder and worked from there, but I mean, I made an attempt, that was the important part. If I had played more Dark Feast Bat, I probably would have made a lot better plays, and screwing up the initial play really messed up my Vera turn. At least we got a Razor Claw, that's something I guess. A little bit of damage to face, never hurt anybody. Serpent Drake. Actually kind of glad to see that. Serpent Drake isn't something I thought I'd get to see played much, but it's nice to see it played here. So even if I can't show you off the best games in the world, and I can't show off this deck in its entirety, at least it has a shot at being seen. That's the main thing. I'll definitely want to do this deck some justice, hopefully. It's meant to be a predominantly aggressive deck, so there's no surprise there. So while making this video, I was deciding on whether I actually wanted to post it for you guys. I did a bit of umming and I've decided to go ahead with it just because I think it's a little bit of fun. I mean, you can't really go too wrong when your video playback for replays screws up. One card that you wanted for the deck is actually in maintenance. The other game that you thought you had didn't end up working out, but the deck is still reasonably solid. So it is something that I want to show you guys, give to you guys, and we can just have a little talk about it, I guess. So obviously the main premise being Dark Feast Bat. If you've played any Dark Feast Bat before, you know what you're aiming to do. Deal some self damage, heal yourself up, protect yourself until the Dark Feast Bat turn, and just obliterate your opponent. But some of the more intricate things with this deck, of course, being the new invocation during your turn, being able to summon that off something like Double Bloodkin into a couple of 2-drop cards and things like that are really, really handy. Even with a little bit of extra setup, you can actually go a fair distance. Evil Eye Demon, of course, being quite a big one as well. Being able to clear mass boards is always handy, and it gives a nice target for your evolve effects. Razor Claw is also quite a nice card, of course, always has been, probably always will be, as it's just a solid 3 damage, 2 damage card and gets you a little bit. The new Bloodthirsty Hamster being an amazing, fun little card is pretty decent, don't know how it will go overall, but the Disciple cards, of course, Disciple and Servant, being predominantly some of the better cards, really helping you fill out the rotation curve that you needed compared to the previous expansion. So definitely a deck that I had a little bit of fun playing with. I wish I could have had a better video for you guys, but hopefully you can at least appreciate that this deck is still, you know, a little bit of fun and reasonably cheap. I mean, we are running 5 legendaries in this variation. I would probably run 9. Considering today's legendary rates, that's about average, so I guess that's still fine. You could get away without using Omen of Lust pretty easily, I think, and just throw in an extra kind of self-damage card or healing card that might do you some justice. But outside of that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will leave this deck list in the description below. Hit the like button and subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.